Yeah, the apps is fine.
How are you?
And just a disclaimer, we are streaming, but we're streaming.
Farewell.
Stuff going on.
Hello, everybody. Every time. So I don't have to.
Ourselves because the people. Yeah, there.
It's the audience camera.
Yes, I'm trying. Here we go.
I'll call to order the Planning Commission meeting of May 28, 2020 at the city of Oroville. We're going to have the roll call.
Commissioner Flicker,
Here.
Commissioner Britton,
Here.
Commissioner Chapman, Commissioner Chapman,
Here, it's breaking up a lot, but I here.
Commissioner Sears,
Here.
Vice Chair Jenkins,
Here.
Chair Durling.
Here. Will all of you rise? Where's still flag behind us? Will you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Be seated. Okay, we have minutes for both February 27 and April 23rd. Anybody have any changes, or suggestions, or anything that?
Chairperson Durling, I just want to note for the public comment item that I have not received any written public comments for the non-agenda public
Okay.
comment section.
Okay, thank you. So, anyone, I'm waiting for a motion or something on
I'll move approval of both sets of minutes.
I'll second it. Janet Parker.
Okay, she will be doing the roll verb. Are you going to call?
Yes. Commissioner Britton?
Are we voting on this?
Yes.
Can't. She's going to call a roll each time.
Oh,
So
Here.
just to kind of clarify for the public and for those in the room, because we have one of our commissioners who is joining us via technology, we will take a roll call vote for anything that needs a vote. So Commissioner Britton,
here.
Commissioner Flicker, Commissioner Sears,
Yes.
Commissioner Chapman,
Yes.
Vice Chair Jenkins.
Yes.
Chair Durling.
Yes,
The motion passes 6-0.
thank you.
Okay.
Commissioner Britton, can we have you clarify whether your vote was a yes or a no?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, regular business. First item is development review for 48 senior affordable housing project at 300 Hillview Ridge Lane, Oroville. Staff has a report.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. This is the Sierra Heights Affordable Senior Housing Project Phase 2. This item involves the hillside development of another 48 units next to the, I think it's 40 or 48, 40 that are already under construction in 2 buildings. This project underwent Development Review Committee review on May 19th, at which Commissioners Durling and Sears attended. The DRC discussed a number of issues surrounding hillside development, including the driveway slope, fire equipment access, drainage, ensuring a path of travel with linked sidewalk improvements, ensuring ambulance and tenant access to a van transportation system once management begins. Our parking ordinance requires 64 spaces. Applicant has provided 54. The zoning administrator and the development review committee members were all comfortable with the reduction since this is senior housing and it's common to have this parking ratio in senior housing complexes. The number of spaces is also consistent with the first 2 phases that the applicant is building now as well. The only non-standard recommendation among the conditions is to work with the Oroville Fire Department to ensure that the 4 driveway transitions are not so dramatic that fire trucks and other vehicles scrape. Maybe we can get that site plan up. The slope of the 2 driveways accessing the facility is 15%, which did not concern the fire department at all. They just wanted to make sure that the transitions from the street to the driveway to the top were smooth enough so that the trucks could easily go through and access the driveway. Yeah, it'll be the site plan. Moving on, the applicant has provided a slope analysis in accordance with our hillside ordinance, which confirms that they can legally build the 48 units on that hillside. Applicant Davis Slackert is here to briefly present the project and to answer any questions. We note that this is a non-discretionary application, so this project is approved by right. No planning commission approvals are actually required, only the development review, which took place last week. Staff recommends the planning commission accept the DRC's comments and proposed conditions.
Okay. Technically, this is not a public hearing, but I'll open it for comment from the applicant. But is there any questions of staff?
He needs to talk louder.
Did you have anything you want to review that
No,
we discussed?
I just want to hear any progress on the grading, the 15% thing for the
Okay.
ladder truck.
The other important one was the stacked parking. You didn't mention that, and I think as one of the issues. And I don't know if you can show that. It's up in the upper left-hand corner there. You can see stacked parking.
Oh.
And we talked about if you took out the ones that are stacked, they still meet the parking requirements, as I recall. And but we discussed the management system or management method of parking cars there for people who have a car but they don't use it that often, and they can request that their car be brought to them and so forth. So there's a system, and that was our concern, that there would be a system in place as part of the approval, DRC approval, that would take care of the issue of the stacked parking.
Carl, also, they would leave a key with the manager in case the car needed to be moved.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. So I just want to be sure that everybody understood that that was discussed at the DRC, and that was the resolution to it. And so let's hear from the applicant.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners.
You want to hit your mic,
Mic's
Dave?
not on.
Right in the bottom and the front.
I'll get it.
There you go.
Oh, you got it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. My name's Davis Slackert. I'm one of the partners of Willow Partners. We're the developer on the first phase of the Sierra Heights Apartments, which is a 40-unit development consisting of 2 buildings, 8 2-bedrooms, 32 1-bedroom, 1-bath, and 8 2-bedroom, 1-bath. And the parking ratio on the first development, which should be fully completed by year end, has 45 parking spaces for 40 units. This second phase would be a little bit up the hill, adjacent to them, and it would have, as was pointed out by staff, 54 parking spaces for 48 units. The project on top will be a combination of 3- and 4-story buildings, 3 stories in the rear, 4 stories in front. It'll have an elevator access for all residents, as well as stairwells at the end of both ends of the building. Parking will be from above. There will be access from the lower first phase of the development, and that's where the issue came of the 15% grade. I have spoken with the civil engineers about that. He said that was, kind of his initial rough estimate. He thinks he can do considerably better than that, and he will certainly, smooth out the entrance to it, and also the when you reach the top of the grade, so that trucks aren't going to top out. Right. So that was good news. Again, he was saying that this is not a final plan. This is preliminary, but he understands that's an issue. He thought he could get in the 12% range as far as grade goes, which would be an improvement. See, there was also discussion of the walkway in the front of the building because there is a 15-foot incline on that, But again, it's 335 feet, so it's extended over a fairly long distance, and it's a requirement for right-of-way passage because there's no stairs, and that's part of California building code that you have access without having to use stairs. But again, I think with the extended distance, the incline shouldn't be steep when you consider the distance that they're traveling. We've got, as I mentioned, or that should be pointed out, I guess, is that this is affordable housing. So this is housing reserved for residents that are 62 years and older. It'll be comprised of units ranging in the rental rates of between 30 to 60% of the area median income for Butte County. It will match the type of housing that is the first phase. And really, ideally, the reason we're proposing it is because we had initially intended to build a larger project, but we lost some of our funding, had to reduce the size of the project, and so we're pleased that we're able to, with a little bit of good fortune, be able to compete in this upcoming financing round that's part of a disaster relief program for Butte County. And so this would give us an opportunity to build out the project basically in full and provide some much needed affordable housing to senior residents. One other point from the design review meeting that I'll note is that there was mention of transportation, and I think it was pointed out by staff that the Oroville Hospital does provide transportation to and from any appointments there at the hospital. So to the extent that people do have appointments, that's one option. As far as the tandem parking in back, I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 spots. And our proposal is that we have, as Commissioner pointed out, use those residents maybe that don't drive very frequently to be in the back spots. People that drive more frequently, they be in the front. Perhaps maybe the manager have one of the front units, and then she can keep the keys of the cars in front to the extent they need to be moved, so that someone can get out of that rear parking space. And I should also say that Willow Partners operates about 1,000 units, both family properties and senior properties, affordable units throughout the state. Roughly half of our portfolio is senior housing. The parking ratios we're proposing here are very consistent with the types of parking ratios we have for other senior properties. So we don't anticipate it being, being an issue moving forward. I'm happy to answer any of the questions. We are, excited to try to move forward with this. The nice thing from our standpoint is because we now have a relationship with a general contractor and subcontractors in the area, we can move right in, hopefully, to the second phase and deliver it a little more quickly than we have the first phase. And that is our intent. Again, this is all on the assumption that we get financing, and the financing applications we're submitting are for July 1st, due July 1st of this year. We would find out about the award probably September of this year. I guess one last thing I'll mention is that in addition to the state of California providing financing for the first phase, the city of Oroville also provided financing. So we've been working with the city for a number of years on this, and we hope to add to the housing stock of senior housing for the city, and also build some attractive housing that'll have a view of the whole community. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, this is Carl speaking. Is there any questions from the commissioners? Anything you want to clear up? Seeing none, thank you. Anything from in between the commissioners? Any discussion? I think you understand the DRC, how that all worked, okay? And I guess ready for a motion. Motion would be to accept the recommendation of the Development Review Committee.
Okay, this is Tammy Flicker. I make a motion to accept the recommendations of the Development Review Committee in regards to the 48-unit senior affordable housing project at 300 Hillview Ridge Lane.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
A second.
Take the roll.
Commissioner Britton,
Yes.
Commissioner Flicker, Commissioner Sears,
Yes.
Commissioner Chapman,
Yes.
Chair Jenkins,
Yes. Yes.
Chair Durling.
Yes.
The motion carries 6-0.
Huh? Okay, now, the next item is a tentative parcel map. Staff can make a presentation there. Just a brief note, it's, well, I'll let staff explain it.
All right, thank you.
I've done so many of these, I get the habit of just jumping right in and explaining it, so.
Planning Commission approval of this map, which is part of the project we just looked at, is required and is necessary to enable the project. The applicant is splitting their existing one parcel into two, with the 48-unit Phase 2 project on its own separate parcel for financing reasons. Splitting the lot will make the project eligible for disaster relief tax credits, as applicant has mentioned, and it will help with construction project costs for Phase 2. Matt Thompson, the city engineer, has reviewed the map and its required findings and has no unique conditions to add. The only non-standard aspect of the map is that we're not requiring the sidewalk to be extended beyond its connection with the path of travel. Maybe you can highlight that point. Right there, sidewalk would only need to be extended up the road to that point that's being highlighted. Ideally, probably to the driveway as well, but not beyond, not up the hill. Any farther up the hill, there's a large drainage that's an issue with the sidewalk on that side, and there is already fully completed sidewalk all the way up the hill on the other side of the street. You will notice that the new parcel 2 extends across Hillview Ridge Lane to include a steep and deep seasonal drainage channel there, which will not be developed. But personally, I think it has the potential to be a pocket park or some nice amenity for local residents. And applicant Slackert is here to answer any questions. Staff recommends approval.
Any questions of staff? I just want to be clear on the financing thing, that we're doing the parcel map, or splitting the parcel because of the financing, right?
Yes.
Now, is the financing identical?
Slightly different than the
Okay.
first phase. And a lender won't get involved unless they're gonna put their lien or, record their note against the property. They don't want to have a second property involved, obviously. They just would like to be, whatever financing is involved, that needs to go on a separate, it needs to be a separate legal description of this property, unencumbered by any other property, so that in the event there's some issue, it doesn't impact the other property. And also, the financing on the lower property doesn't want to have additional financing encumbering them in any way. So we need to make them two separate legal entities.
Okay. Let me open the hearing. I should have probably waited, but I was really directing it at staff.
Okay.
So, open the hearing for tentative parcel map 20-02. Now, anything else you want to say about the, because I have a couple more questions. And
I'll explain that very
commissioners
well.
may have questions of you too.
Basically, each parcel needs to be its own separate legal entity for financing purposes.
But the ownership is identical.
They'll be separate owners. They'll be affiliates of Willow Partners,
Right.
but they'll be two separate owners.
Okay, that's, I just wanted to be,
Yeah, every property that we've developed is an affiliate, but a separate legal entity, and again, that's because.
that's what I wanted to be sure
You
everyone
don't want to
understood.
have one property encumbered by some issue arising with another.
Right, okay. All right, any questions for staff, or the applicant, or discussion amongst ourselves? It's pretty clean.
It makes perfect sense to me when they submit a lien release that doesn't involve the other properties, right? And
Okay,
I get it.
we'll close the hearing on it, and ready for any further discussion amongst commissioners, but take a recommendation by someone.
I make a recommendation that we adopt resolution number P 2020-16 for a tentative parcel map. Huh? 2020.
2002.
Mine says 2020.
The resolution number is 2020-06.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay,
I'll second the motion.
right.
I know that. That one is 20-02.
The
But
resolution,
the resolution is 2020-06.
I'll get my foot out of
The
my mouth.
bane of a planner's existence is all the different numbering systems
Yeah.
that they have to go by.
Anyway, I second it.
Okay, we have a motion to approve and a second. I'm going to call the roll.
Commissioner Britton,
Yes,
Commissioner Flicker,
Yes.
Commissioner Sears,
Yes.
Commissioner Chapman,
Yes.
Vice Chair Jenkins,
Yes.
Chair Durling.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
All right, thank you. Do you have any idea when you'd be finishing and actually occupying the first phase?
We expect to have the first building of the first phase completed in August, and that is roughly half the units, and then the second building of the first phase will be completed year-end.
when?
The year end.
Okay. And that's final?
That's the schedule as of right now. And it should be, we were hoping to get it built together, but we were late getting our foundation poured on the second building and had to wait through the winter for it to dry out well enough for us to get that done. That's why there's such a disparity between the completion of the first and the second. But we'll get it done. And this development here will be one building. So we'll get it poured, we'll get it going. The plan would be for 2021, spring and summer, and then hopefully we expect to complete by year end 2021.
Thank you.
Nice addition, Joel.
Okay, next item on the agenda is Director's Report. No. Yeah. Do you have anything from the director?
Yes. First off, I just want to thank all of our commissioners for being so flexible during our pandemic situation and our new telephonic and Zoom meetings. Also, with this new situation we have here in the council chambers.
This
so,
way.
No, you can go that way. It takes them outside.
yeah.
Oh, okay. Can't get out that way, huh? Cool. Right.
Panic bar.
That's the way I'm gonna go.
Thank you.
Items that are happening right now. AMC, the applicant who brought us the 120-unit Riverview Apartments at Nelson and Table Mountain Boulevard, that this commission actually previously approved in December. They're preparing a 41-unit senior housing project down on Mitchell Avenue near Feather River Boulevard, behind the Days Inn. The application is expected to be turned in this next week. With that, if this project we're reestablishing the DRC, or the Development Review Committee. I'll go fully into that after I finish all the other projects, because there's a little bit to touch on there regarding that process. Another project, K2 in Chico, a housing developer out of Chico is preparing an application for an 80-unit multifamily affordable housing project on 6 acres at Grand and Table Mountain. That's in that historic olive orchard. That application is also expected to be in next week. If there's no planning commission approvals that are required there, this will also be a project that will be presented at the DRC. Brian Wong, the owner of the Miners Alley Brewery Restaurant, he has applied for a new sign renaming it the Union, which is in honor of the original hotel that stood at that site. The project, which is in the historic downtown overlay district, will require the development review, landmark alteration permit, and review of the Historic Advisory Commission, which is also this planning commission body. That project will be brought to Planning Commission on the June 25th meeting. AT&T is proposing to add 34.5 feet to their existing tower, the Verizon wireless tower that's currently behind the hospital, the one that looks like a tree. And this requires a use permit. Staff is issuing the public notice and the agency review notice today, or they did issue it today. A negative declaration is also posted for this project. The commission originally denied this project back in 2013, but the city council approved it on appeal. And this project will be coming July 23rd to the planning commission. The negative declaration for a new housing configuration at Ruddy Creek. This is a subdivision that's currently in the county, proposing to be annexed within the city. This commission approved it in 2007, and it was almost complete. And it will be issued for public review this next week. The subdivision is north of the airport on 18th, across from the Cala Vista Estates. Cala Vista Estates on 18th. The project should also come before this body in July. Now that the quarantine has eased a little bit, staff is planning on getting back into the gear of the workshop for the zoning amendment or updates. And so are there any dates that would be doable for this body? Sign ordinance, but zoning in general as well. The sign ordinance, but zoning in general as well. We're going to review. No, we can start with the sign ordinance and then move into the zoning. But we don't have to do dates right now. We can email out dates and see what works for everybody. We can do a doodle poll if that would work better, whatever this body would prefer. Okay. Okay. That's understandable. Okay. Okay. Everybody else pretty flexible? Okay. Work schedule. Mm-hmm.
I can open it up. A sign project I have.
Okay. Another thing that we can do is actually, as the meeting ends and we take the notes and compile everything, we can send the notes out to the commissioners for review, and that would ease you from having to be present at the meetings as well.
One question, Dawn.
Mm-hmm.
That last comment, you said north of the airport?
It is north of the airport, but it's northeast. Of the airport.
Okay.
Off of 18th.
Whatever happened to the second phase of the Olive Grove out there on, which would be west of the airport? That would be phase 2, is that correct?
Phase 2 of
Well, it's
Linkside.
developed.
It's Linkside Place.
Is that what it is?
Yeah,
Linkside,
phase
they're not-
2
okay.
isn't that scheduled to begin, Wes?
We both voted on that.
Yeah, Linkside 2, the first 54 units, I believe, are built and sold and occupied, and the second 54, just south of those, I believe that they're undergoing building plan check right now.
Okay.
And can then start being built in the fall or
Because
late
that
this summer.
land, the underground is already developed, correct, Wes?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It's all fully in there, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Same builder? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Staff is also working on a general plan amendment to catch some of the pending parcel rezones and safety element updates that will be coming. So back to my mention of the Development Review Committee. So reenacting that again, as we've been doing with the Development Review Committee, the way it's written within the zoning code, it would be 2 planning commissioners. One would be serving as the chairperson and the other would serve as a committee member on a quarterly basis. So as they move into the next quarter, the chairperson steps down and the committee member moves into the chair. So it's a continuous rotation. If that will work for our planning commissioners, then we can do it that way. In the past, we've nominated planning commissioners. Okay. As chair. And then we have another planning commissioner come in. Understandable.
But that's not true. Because I'm available.
Okay. Wonderful.
I'm an independent contractor. I work when I want.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, and and then that's the other question I had is the last meeting we had, it was brought up. Oh, by the way, this is Tammy Flicker talking. So it was brought up that one of them couldn't attend, and then so one person went and made the decisions. Is there a way we can, when we know somebody's not going to show up, call somebody else and say, can we? Just more of a discussion.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just thought that one person, I would have liked to seen 2, regardless if we know that person's out of town or can't make it,
Mm-hmm.
then call another commissioner just for a sub.
And gives you confidence. The chair doesn't ask.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So one.
And I'm not seeing anything here in the rules that a planning commissioner can't sub for another if they're absent. So that would be acceptable. Absolutely. So if we know beforehand that a planning commissioner will be absent for the Development Review Committee, we will contact the other planning commissioners and see who would be available. Okay? Mm-hmm. That's all I have.
I have a question also. Did you say the AT&T wants to go 34 feet higher?
That's correct.
That's a lot. Wow.
The hospital's 5 stories.
Yes, this same tower was a Verizon tower and still has Verizon equipment on it at the 80-foot level from the ground. And this commission denied that use permit application several years ago, which was appealed to the city council. And the city council overturned that denial, and the project got built. Now AT&T wants to add a cell tower array that will cover something like 90% of the city of Oroville from that one location, and needs to add 34 feet to the tower.
And it's already at 80.
It's already at 80.
Tall tower.
Is this the one that's behind the Arc building?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right behind the Arc building.
Yeah, looks like a pine tree.
So we will bring to you an analysis of its new height when compared to the helipad, which I believe was the point of contention before,
Yes.
and other structures and trees in the vicinity.
Could
So
be still fly right directly over my roof instead of coming that way.
we'll bring you that analysis.
I have a question.
Okay.
When are we going to revive and/or discuss further community meetings with Southside? Could we advertise a socially distanced meeting again in that huge facility like we were last time?
That depends on the CDC guidelines for the pandemic. And I believe it's when we reach stage 3 that we can have larger gatherings again, but still practicing social distancing. So it just depends on when the state and the Butte County Public Health Advisor release those guidelines
When
for
they tell
state.
us we
Yeah,
can go
yeah,
phase
as we
3.
move into stage 3. Mm-hmm.
In the meantime, the city council will be hearing an item next Tuesday evening for a grant application for $65,000 for additional work to be done in Southside to help assist development down there. Planning work, yeah.
No.
Personally, I would like.
Well, the one thing I was going to mention is it's on the front page of today's paper. My husband's the president of the local Rotary. And so if you guys all saw, the Rotary is going forward with the fireworks for the 4th of July. They are going to be shooting them off because they figured that the state is still pretty much closed with the forebay. So anyway, they're going to shoot them off at the airport. Now, viewers will not be able to go onto the airport, well, I've been told, not be able to go onto the airport property, though. So they're going to be either alongside the roads or out, I know. Yeah. Yeah, in the hopes that you could see them throughout Thermalito. And even you can go out on the after bay, go out there and on a boat even and watch them. So, but there's a couple of them. Monument.
On the south side.
Yeah.
It's pretty large.
Yeah. 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 So they're still planning on doing it. Yeah, and that's how it gets paid for, is we have to raise like $20,000 or something like that. I mean, I don't know how much it is, but yeah. Is that what it is? Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. Our hand up.
It's getting interesting at the hospital. With the hot weather, and they're welding and they're working, it doesn't look like it's changing much now that the frame is there, but they're working very hard. And the last 2 days, today and yesterday, they've blown the power. They've busted out the transformer that runs that hospital right in the middle of the day, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. And of course, it takes my house down with it too when it goes. And so the PG&E told me today that they may have to install new transformers to accommodate the hospital. So I don't know if that's going to get in the paper or not. But the interesting thing about it was that I didn't believe this was possible. But my house had a partial outage. I guess so, because the fish pond pump kept running and the ceiling fans slowed down, but everything else was off.
So you were leaking?
No, I didn't have to go out and aerate the pond to keep the fish alive.
Electrically.
There must be, yeah.
They
yeah.
have those down in like Southern California,
And then
brownouts.
It's yeah. So I don't know. It's interesting though. They're working hard. I mean, they're taxing their system to the max right now.